better and for worse, Donald Trump has a knack for dominating the news cycle. But increasingly, he's playing catch-up, chasing after stories, reacting, responding, at times sputtering on Twitter. Take his tweets this morning, responding to news of his foundation being shuttered amid allegations it operated as a slush fund for his businesses and campaign. He insisted the Trump Foundation has done great work. He attacked a former state attorney general, and he insisted he wanted to close the foundation so as not to be in conflict with politics. The last part particularly interesting, considering news today involving another one of Trump's namesake business ventures, Trump Tower Moscow. After spending the entire campaign insisting that he had no business in Russia, we find out Trump Tower Moscow had been on the table even well into 2016. Donald Trump Jr. told Congress his father even signed a letter of intent. But then here's where it gets confusing. On Sunday, Rudy Giuliani tells CNN, quote, it was a real estate project. There was a letter of intent to go forward, but no one signed it. No surprise here. A few days later, CNN says they obtained a copy of that letter, and it appears to show a signature, Donald J. Trump's signature, and it's dated October 2015. NBC News can't independently confirm the letter, and CNN didn't state how they got it. But when reporters followed up with Giuliani, he told them, well, of course Trump signed it. Yet another changing, shifting story that Trump will have to chase after. Joining the table, Chuck Rosenberg, former U.S. attorney and former senior FBI official, Michelle Goldberg, New York Times columnist, Nick Confessori, New York Times political reporter. Jason and Ron are still here. Ron Klain, let me start with you. The audacity of the lies is stunning.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I would trust the Grinch with my Christmas presents before I trust Rudy Giuliani with the truth. I mean, I think that it's not just the story changes every day. The story changes sometimes multiple times within a day. But look, Nicole, what's really adding up here? I mean, I think it's a good time to take a step back and look at what we see, which is basically Trump said through the campaign, I had no business dealings with Russia. He was on a multi-million-dollar project with Russia through the entire campaign. He asked them to hack Hillary Clinton's emails. They did. WikiLeaks released them. He campaigned on that. He changed the Republican platform on Ukraine and NATO. And then, when it was all over, his national security advisor makes a secret deal with Russia on the sanctions and lies about it to the FBI. I mean, this is an entire spy novel of corruption, of collusion, of conspiracy. And I think all the pieces are coming together now.
Ron, here's my question for you: is if we had similar jobs, we were strategists, how long until the strategy shifts from MAGA to make collusion great again to saying, never mind, we colluded, and we colluded better than anyone ever did ever, and we were in charge of the laws, so we're going to change the laws and we're going to make collusion great and legal?
Yeah, well, look, I think they're really kind of there. I mean, I think they maybe haven't quite put it on a red hat yet.
Give them time, Ron.
But I'm sure I'm sure it'll be for sale as a Trump Christmas ornament in the store in the next week or two. Look, the bottom line is there's no question now that they were in business dealings with Russia. They were in political dealings with Russia. Russia helped them win the campaign. New reports out about Russian money going into the NRA, about Russian social media impacting the campaign. It's just there. They are going to have to own it and deal with the consequences of it.
Chuck, I have this theory that because what we've had to cover is a methodical, fact-based, opaque investigation, we in the media have been too timid about saying what Ron Klain just did.
But probably it's because you have standards. I'm not suggesting Ron doesn't.
Thanks, Chuck.
It's okay.
Thanks.
We can take this.
No, let me explain. You have to be bound by fact. It's okay for Ron or for I or anyone around this table to speculate about the facts. But when you're reporting the facts, you have to be bound by them. And that's the difference. And so while I think Ron is drawing perfectly fair inferences, you can't do that in your reporting. Journalists can't, at least not good ones. Right. But there is a central theme. Ron is right. In almost everything we see, hear, touch, and feel and smell, it's Russia. It's Russia in all the ways that Ron described, and I think it will continue to be Russia, Nicole.
Yeah. So you don't see that there's any off-ramp here? I mean, just looking at this as the people investigating Trump and his businesses are looking at it, the Southern District of New York, the Mueller probe. We don't know if there are other U.S. attorneys' offices looking at other cases. We don't know if Rod Rosenstein sent other cases to other offices. But as all those investigators and prosecutors will look at it, they're not oblivious to, Joyce talks about the lines in the center, and the spokes all come back to Russia.
They seem to. They come back to Russia and to one other thing, money. And it's so cliched that I almost hesitate to say it, but you follow the money.
Yeah.
In this case, you follow the money and you follow Russia. That is the hub of the wheel. The hub's the middle, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spokes of the lines. Yeah.
Spokes of the lines.
Everything I know about those charts I saw from Carrie Matheson.
Hub, spoke, rim. I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. And it comes back to Russia and to money. And so, regardless of what U.S. attorney is investigating it, remember, it's still one Department of Justice and one FBI.
Right.
That they're sharing information with one another, and they are following all of these leads. I'm confident in that.
The scope and the reflex for criminality is, to me, what's coming together in the shuttering of the foundation, because it operated essentially as a slush fund for the businesses and the campaign. The conduct that's revealed through Michael Cohen and his role as a witness in the Trump organization, and the lies that are told as recently as on the Sunday Show by Rudy Giuliani about business with Russia. I mean, if you wanted your guy to get one thing right, wouldn't you want him to stop lying about Russia?
I would think so. And look, the charity investigation is really an X-ray into the character of how the Trumps did business. If a guy will take a charitable foundation and use it to pay his son's, Boy Scout dues, what won't he do? If he'll take someone else's money in a charity and then pass it off as his own, or use it to buy paintings of himself, I mean, that's a low standard of behavior by anyone's lights. And you take that and you apply it to business deals and what he might do to get a tower built in Russia, where the stakes are a lot higher for him, potentially his family's biggest deal ever. What wouldn't he do? When I look at all of these facts together, again, we are not ahead of the facts here. But I'm just thinking that, think of how little it took for Russia to try to put all these pieces in play. Get a tower approved potentially, have a buddy at the Kremlin spend $15 million on a disinfo operation out of St. Petersburg. It was not expensive. It wasn't even that elaborate. And look what they got in return, a friendly president at the least.
Where do they go from here, Michelle?
Where do who go?
Where do Trump and Rudy go? I mean, what do they say next Sunday? I mean, Rudy will be back. He'll be sitting there, and George will ask his smart questions. I think he was on another show. But the stories change so often. That's why. I mean, I only half jokingly made that point to Ron, that the only next stop that the train can stop and open doors at is there's nothing wrong with collusion.
I'm almost positive that they've made that argument already. I mean, I'm almost positive that Rudy specifically has already said collusion is not a crime. Yeah. Right? I mean, and they sort of all say this.
It just hasn't gone global. It's not on hats or anything.
Well, nobody died, right? That was Rudy's other Rudy's kind of other justification for why this is all just sort of piddling nonsense. And so I think you'll hear a lot more of that. And then also I think you'll hear a lot more of Trump being like, well, it's good if we get along with Russia. What's wrong with getting along with Russia? Right. And sort of just deny that they've ever said any of the things that they've evidently said on video for months before that.
Stage 4 or 5 of this walk back is going to be, sure, some light treason, some collusion, but we had to beat Hillary Clinton. She was so bad. And isn't that worth it?
And I think that's where the party is.
I think we're going to end up there.
I mean, I think when you, the people who kind of are being honest with you, that's sort of baked into their dismissive response to all of this.
Yeah, that's always been an argument, that Hillary Clinton was enough of an existential threat to all that is American that even allying ourselves with someone who was an enemy 15 minutes before she ran is perfectly okay. But I have to go back to this, because this goes to everybody that Trump works with, everybody who brings into organization. Can you think of a single more incompetent spokesperson in American history than Rudy Giuliani? I mean, from Stormy Daniels, let me give you a secret, he paid for it, to now, well, he didn't sign the intent letter. He did. He literally is leaving Scooby Snack trails for every single investigator. Every time he lies, we find out something else Trump did.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.